빨리. 아이, 그 남자 여자 가야 된다.
계속 물어, 계속 쫓아가.
아마 그냥 연락도 그만해라. 하지 말라.
하지 말라.
Live Weverse erupts. Jimin and Jungkook confront Sasaengs with a chilling message. Stop now. In a moment that froze millions of viewers worldwide, BTS members Jimin and Jungkook broke the silence. In a rare, unscripted outburst during a live broadcast on Weverse, the two idols addressed a growing danger that has long lingered beneath the surface of K-pop fame, Sasaengs, obsessive individuals who cross the line from fan to stalker. With voices calm but laced with unmistakable tension, Jimin and Jungkook didn't mince words. Their message was as direct as it was haunting. Stop now. But who exactly were they speaking to, and what incident pushed them to speak out? What unfolded during the 4-hour live session was more than fan service or casual interaction. It was a coded cry for boundaries, privacy, and protection in an era where global fame has turned the lives of idols into open targets. The air was light at first, filled with singing, banter, and laughter. But it quickly shifted when the conversation veered toward unsettling truths. The tension was subtle at first. Then it escalated. Midway through the stream, Jimin recalled what was meant to be a joyful moment, his return from service and greeting ARMY at the airport. But rather than fond memories, what he shared sent shockwaves through the fandom. It used to be about waving, smiling, maybe a quick hello, he said with an uneasy smile. Now, it's please go home. Thank you. Goodbye. His words weren't sarcastic. They were protective. Jungkook quickly chimed in, mirroring Jimin's discomfort. The subtext was unmistakable. What once felt like admiration now resembled surveillance. The broadcast was not a warning. It was a reckoning and the digital age, fan culture, is often romanticized. What few outsiders understand is how easily that admiration mutates into invasion. As Jimin and Jungkook addressed their concerns directly to the camera, their tone sharpened. Jungkook nodded gravely. Go home, he said twice. The weight of his words could not be dismissed. It wasn't just about unwanted greetings. This was about safety, intrusion, and psychological warfare waged against public figures in the name of devotion. What prompted this unusually candid confrontation was not only public crowding or airport stalking. Something far more chilling occurred live, something that stopped both idols mid-sentence. Jimin looked down at his phone and frowned. A pause. Then came the words, who's trying to steal my identity again? The mood changed instantly. Viewers watching the stream sensed it. Jungkook leaned in. Please stop sending OTPs. A stunned silence followed. The term OTP may not register as alarming to the average viewer, but to those familiar with digital security, it signified something terrifying. A one-time password is sent only when someone is trying to access a secure account. This meant someone, at that very moment, was attempting to breach Jimin's private data live. While the world was watching, IT wasn't an isolated incident. Jimin continued, visibly rattled. There's no new information to steal. Stop calling. Just stop. Jungkook echoed. You already know everything about us. Their expressions shifted from amused to disturbed. And the message was clear. They were being hacked, tracked, and hunted in real time. This was no longer a theoretical discussion about overzealous fans. It was a live demonstration of how far Sasaengs were willing to go. These weren't passive viewers. These were aggressors hiding behind screens, armed with login credentials, possibly obtained through data leaks or social engineering. Jimin's live OTP alert was the smoking gun. Someone had his password. They were only missing the final code. And if he hadn't been holding his phone at that moment, perhaps they would have succeeded. The casual mention of identity theft amidst a fan broadcast was both surreal and horrifying. Most viewers expected songs and jokes, not digital warfare. Yet that was the reality laid bare before them. The message from Jimin and Jungkook wasn't just to the stalkers. It was also to the millions watching to let them know, this is what we're dealing with. This is what obsession looks like. And this is why we're drawing a line. This wasn't the first time Jungkook had been targeted by cyber intrusion. In a previous Weverse Live, he mentioned receiving strange calls, including during the broadcast itself. Many dismissed it as a prank. But paired with this latest incident, a clearer picture is forming, one that involves persistent surveillance, malicious attempts to access private accounts, and the ongoing psychological toll on BTS members. IT raises serious questions. How safe are our idols, even in their own homes? How much do fans really know about them? And how much is too much? If someone can obtain enough data to trigger a one-time password prompt, what else do they already possess? And more chillingly, what are they planning to do with it? The term sasaeng has long been part of the darker narrative in K-pop culture. These are not typical fans. They are individuals who stalk, follow, film, and hack. They bribe airline employees for flight info. They embed themselves near dorms. Some even install GPS trackers. Their obsession isn't rooted in admiration, it's control. And the tools they now use are more sophisticated than ever. Jimin and Jungkook's decision to speak about this during a live session, in such direct terms, was no accident. It was strategic. It was urgent. Their plea, stop, just stop, was a message sent directly to those who had crossed a line, but it was also a call to the public. A reminder that the fantasy of celebrity must never come at the cost of their humanity. For too long, the line between fan culture and personal boundaries has been blurred. Social media feeds us curated glimpses into the lives of idols. But those glimpses are not invitations. They are performances. The moment fans begin to believe that access is ownership, the relationship turns toxic. The emotional impact of that live moment continues to reverberate. On forums, fans expressed outrage, fear, and deep concern for the two members. Some questioned how such breaches could continue happening despite security measures. Others called for stronger action by management. But one fact remains: Jimin and Jungkook were the ones forced to speak. And that alone reveals the failure of the systems meant to protect them. The psychological impact on both artists is difficult to quantify. Jimin's laughter felt strained. Jungkook's nods carried weight. These are not just performers, they are people. And the paranoia of knowing your identity is constantly under threat by people who claim to love you is an experience no artist should endure. What should have been a joyful, relaxing live stream became a live security breach. What should have been fan interaction turned into real-time damage control. And yet, Jimin and Jungkook handled it with restraint, calm, and courage. Their message was not aggressive, but it was unflinching. Enough is enough. The severity of the incident forces a larger conversation in the entertainment industry. How do agencies balance fan engagement with artist protection? How do platforms like Weverse ensure that live content doesn't become a vulnerability? And how do we, as a culture, begin to dismantle the myth that celebrities are public property? Perhaps most disturbing is the sense that this is not the last time. The tools are evolving. So are the tactics. If someone can reach Jimin's OTP code live on air, what's next? Deep fakes? Data theft? Worse? Jimin and Jungkook's confrontation on Weverse was more than a headline. It was a warning, not just to Sasaengs, but to the entire ecosystem that allows them to thrive. They've drawn their line, and they've made their position clear. Go home. Now the question is, will anyone listen? The gravity of the incident during Jimin and Jungkook's Weverse live session demands more than mere attention. It requires scrutiny. The claims made in real time, while emotionally charged and seemingly authentic, have since circulated across multiple platforms: TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and secondary news outlets. Yet the question remains unanswered. Was this truly a real-time digital intrusion into their privacy? Or was the event manipulated, consciously or unconsciously, for media traction? In an era saturated with misinformation, even the most credible-seeming narratives warrant critical examination. The intensity of the reactions from both Jimin and Jungkook, as well as the specificity of their statements, mentioning OTPs, data breaches, and identity theft, does appear to support the authenticity of the event. But should we, as observers, accept this at face value? Or must we entertain the uncomfortable possibility that the portrayal of these events could have been framed or even exaggerated to serve a purpose beyond simple disclosure? Let us pose this question clearly. Do you, the viewer, believe this incident truly unfolded as presented? Or do you suspect that elements of performance, control, or manipulation were involved? There is no accusation here, only an invitation to reflect deeply. The internet, in its immediacy, transforms speculation into fact within minutes. A clip shared on TikTok can become a headline, a tweet, a source, a YouTube reaction, a citation. But none of these are definitive. None of these confirm what really happened. The moment Jimin received an OTP on his device could have been accidental. It could have been a staged metaphor. It could also be entirely authentic, a terrifying intrusion exposed under the unforgiving spotlight of live broadcast. But ask yourself, who benefits from such a spectacle? The emotional intensity of the moment certainly galvanized the BTS fandom army. The sheer virality of the clips circulated ensured the visibility of the issue across continents. Was this merely a consequence of a genuine event? Or could it also have served as a strategic moment in digital public relations, intended or not? We must ask, how often do incidents that pose serious security concerns get exposed mid-broadcast, with perfectly timed reactions and visible coordination between two public figures? This is not to suggest deceit, but to call for intellectual vigilance. As consumers of digital content, we must confront a difficult reality. Much of what we believe is shaped by emotional response rather than factual. Evaluation. When Jimin says, "There's no more information to steal," we feel fear and sympathy. When Jungkook says, "You already know everything," we assume threat. But what verifiable evidence do we possess? Can we, as viewers, confirm the OTP code was not triggered by an internal process, a misconfigured login, or a false alarm? Herein lies the most important provocation. How do we, as a global audience, distinguish between reality and narrative in the age of viral consumption? This reflection is not a dismissal of their suffering. Far from it. If true, the events expose an intolerable breach of privacy, a chilling demonstration of Sasaeng intrusion at its most invasive. But even in the face of potential truth, responsible discourse requires us to hold every claim under analytical scrutiny. And that includes questioning our own reactions. What if the entire episode had occurred with no camera present? Would it have the same emotional gravity? Would public sympathy be as pronounced? Would we even be aware of the breach? It is precisely because the event unfolded during a live stream that it gained its power. But when visibility itself becomes a tool, how do we ensure that what we see is not crafted more for impact than authenticity? This dilemma is not new. Celebrities, whether consciously or as a product of their industry, often become both the victims and beneficiaries of public narrative. Visibility is capital. Vulnerability, when broadcasted, can generate both sympathy and market influence. Is it wrong to question whether this moment, like so many others in the entertainment industry, might be part of a larger media strategy? Or is that line of inquiry itself a symptom of desensitization to real human experiences? We must not allow ourselves to become passive vessels of information. Every headline, every viral clip must be interrogated. The source matters. The context matters. The motive matters. This article, like many others circulating now, was built upon fragmented data from social media ecosystems. The translations, the timestamps, the interpretations, none are verified through official institutional sources. So again, we ask, how can we trust this narrative completely when its foundation rests on content crafted, shared, and edited by unknown hands? And to go further, should we? The responsibility falls not only on platforms, idols, or entertainment companies. It falls upon us, the viewers, the readers, the reactors. Have we trained ourselves to seek spectacle over substance? If we believe this event was staged, what does that say about our faith in the sincerity of our idols? If we believe it was real, why have we not demanded immediate legal protection or public accountability for those attempting to access their data? And if we remain unsure, lost in the space between belief and skepticism, then what role do we play in shaping the very culture we claim to critique? Sasaeng behavior is, without question, a danger. But the media portrayal of that behavior is often inseparable from the machinery of influence and monetization. We must separate the two if we are to genuinely address the former. Let's conclude not with an answer, but with a challenge. The next time you see a viral moment, a confession, a breakdown, a confrontation, ask yourself, what do I know about this moment? What do I assume about this moment? And what do I want to believe about this moment? Your answers may reveal more about the culture we've all helped create than the truth of the event itself. Stay skeptical, stay critical, stay awake,